Welcome back to Train with Barry, the podcast for beginners. Here's where we talk about the basics: training, nutrition, the mindset. My name is Eric, and as always, I'm joined by our guide, NPC bodybuilding champion and seasoned coach in his 50th year in the gym, training consistently. His competition highlights include, out of his last 10 shows, 2 runner-ups and 8 first-place titles. Welcome and all aboard the train with Barry. How's it going today, Barry?
What's going on, Eric? It seems like it's been a while.
Yeah, we took a week off. Y'all
Yeah,
rested up? I mean, I guess you had a rest week.
yeah. To be honest, to be truthful, honest, I was looking at the last podcast we did. And I was looking at like the views. I think we had like when I looked at it last week, we had like 10 views. I was like, no, it kind of put me in a little bit of a funk. I was like, I feel like the work I put into it, that you put into it, take the time to do it. I was having my little pity party and like, what am I actually doing? Is it really making a difference? We have a lot of subscribers, but when 10 people are viewing it, is like really. I was like, what's the point? And Reggie asked me one night last week. He said, "Hey man, did you do your podcast this week?" I gave him my story I just gave. He's like, "Man." So he kind of reminded me back to what we talked about day one, which was, if you make a difference in one person's life, that's really what it's all about. And we've definitely done that with Rosemary for sure. Reggie's now got his. He's telling me a story where his son's now, listening to it every week and picking up stuff. My brother, Reg from around Northport. I mean, there's people, you know what I mean. So I was like, I go back to just step one, which was again, who knows who you're reaching out to, who you're touching, and I know people got busy lives, but yeah. So I was like, last week anyway, I was like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Do I really want to study this and come up with a new program and do it all? So I was like, nah, I don't. And then,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I know what you mean. I kind of look at those myself, and sometimes I feel the same way. But I kind of related it honestly to back to one of the lessons that you taught me in the show here, which is the looking at those views is kind of like looking at the scale. You know,
yeah,
those scale numbers are going to lie to you. They're going to make you feel like all of your work is not going where you want it to go, but actually your metabolic rate is what's improving in that case. Your scale number isn't doing what you want it to do, but you're getting stronger. Then weighs more. So I think sometimes we kind of can get down about those results, but that's a lesson that you kind of brought up, and that's the same. The metaphor that holds for me is that it's the scale number. No, nobody, maybe up to that point, only 10 people saw it. Who knows how many people are going to see it in the future? Because it's not like it's going anywhere. It's up online now.
look at that wisdom, man. Where'd you get all that stuff?
Wait a minute.
We didn't even study this. That came right out from the heart. That's
That's
crazy.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, lives are being changed here one by one.
Yeah. So then a lady I saw last night I worked with kind of was similar to Rosemary's story. I'm not sure. We'll hope that she wants to do a little bit of training, and I'm going to get together with and work with the two ladies actually. But she was talking about she's probably, I'm guessing, I don't know, in her 60s probably. She's not overweight or anything. She just talked about her body has changed. When I talk about what you see in the mirror when you get out of the shower, stuff ain't sitting where it used to be. And she talked about the muscle. She's losing some muscle, but she's putting on fat, and she's taking in basically no protein. She talked to her doctor about maybe taking protein shakes and that powder. He's convincing her that there's no need to do protein shakes or powder if you're not working out, which
Oh, wow.
I would disagree with because the biggest issue is getting your protein up.
Right.
However, you do that, get your numbers up to start with. So if she can't do it any other way, food wise or whatever, and it becomes through shakes, so be it. It's not like this is somebody who's basically doing almost no protein. So a 25 or 30 gram protein shake isn't really gonna. He was talking about the kidney, and he's talking about athletes bodybuilders that come to him who have kidney problems. I was trying to explain to her, these are people that are, even more than myself, who are doing 2 times their body weight in protein. They might be doing for 200-mile man 400 grams, 450 grams. So there is a point where, there could be some issues, obviously, from doing too much. But I don't know that that's really anybody's normal person's problem, is doing too much protein powder.
Yeah,
So
that's like looking at the tire wear of a race car and assuming that that just must be for every car.
right, look at you, man. Look at Eric throw some stuff out there today, man. This guy's
Whoa.
on it.
Hey, see what happens when you give me a week off?
Yeah, man, week off. Yeah, so which kind of got me to the point where I was telling her, as far as just the progressive resistance, and really to mention that I saw Rosemary again this week, and when Rosemary started, I showed her stuff in that gym after we did the podcast. I took her over to the gym and showed her how to do some stuff. And I remember, she struggled, was trying to do 8-pound dumbbells over her head. And I asked her how progress is coming, and she's up to the 15s now. And she said she actually tried the 20s and just couldn't get them up, to press them up, which is normally the problem. She's capable of doing them if I'd help her get them up there, but getting them up. But anyway, that's from 8 pounds to really now she's working toward getting 20. Someone who's always trying to progress and do what, and she looks truthfully younger and younger, literally every time I see her. It's pretty amazing. So I was telling that lady last night about the Rosemary story. I got her to download the Lose It app, start with that, pick up on the podcast, and then she wants to actually do some in-gym training stuff. So that'd be kind of cool. So again, yeah, you're right in a sense. You never really know who you're, it's again, there's a lot of people, whether they're in the gym, out of the gym, that are just kind of what I call spinning their wheels and kind of aren't getting anywhere. And it was always like she mentioned, what do you think diet's? At least I give her something. She said 75%. I'm like, nah, I've always said, I think it's 90%. Training is easy for the most part. I mean, you got to show up. But if you don't have the food right, as we talked about, you can't out-train a bad diet. So it really starts with that. And she was also talking about her age, and is it too late to put on any muscle, because of her age. And so it got me looking into, when does muscle growth stop? When does muscle stop growing? And actually, people assume their age, where lifting weights stop working and your muscles do not respond. But adults over 85, I had a guy train Joe Jones many years ago in Atlanta. And when I met him through his wife, who was at the gym, he was 85 years old, never lifted a weight in his life. And I remember him starting with like 3-pound dumbbells, curling 3 pounds, trying to press 3 pounds. And Joe got up to the, again, 20s, 25s over time. And how exciting it was when I go see him. He'd talk about seeing definitions in his chest and seeing, muscle respond. And that was a good case. And then another gentleman, Fletch, who I trained, who was in his 70s, same deal. Talked about how he, felt good about, he never liked his chest, because he kind of sagged and lost all that muscle all those years, and how his chest was firming up. And I remember he couldn't do a pull up, he couldn't do a dip to where toward our workout, halfway in through it, he's doing dips on his own, doing pull-ups on his own, at 76 years old. So, so the study basically talked about, they did a study on 2 different, so he took, scientists did a study. So he took guys 55 to 75 in one group, and then over 85 in the other group, using CT scans and body composition tests. Both groups experienced nearly identical improvement. Like the 55 to 75-year-olds improved quad size by 10%. And the over 85s improved theirs by 11%. Same with chest measurements. Interesting when I thought about that, as far as I think chest measurement was like 10%, the 55 to 75, almost 15% for the 85. And
Higher?
I think, yeah, but I think if you think about muscle, going back, what I think, this is my take, muscle memory, that it's, it's just atrophied. So it's going to come back. You start working out again, muscle is going to come back. Muscle memory is amazing. It's going to come back. So I would think because they lost maybe more, obviously, than someone 20 or 30 years younger than them, they would see more improvement because of the fact that they have more yards to go, in a sense, to get kind of where they want to get to. So I found that to be, they believe that muscle tissue remains responsive because protein synthesis and muscle fiber resistance continue to function throughout aging. So it doesn't really go away. But that goes back to what we talked about, which was what progressive resistance, that is the key, without a doubt. Again, Rosemary would be a great example. Reggie's now teetering on getting those 100-pound dumbbells, which is hopefully, I told him once he did the hundreds, we would be able to get him another spot on the show. So you give him a little incentive. And I'm not sure, going back to Reggie giving me that little speech about the podcast, I don't know if it was because Reggie really was getting anything out of the podcast, or he just wants to make sure it stays long enough to get back on the show again.
Well, you know what? It's interesting, and I'd love to have Reg back on. He was great. Um, I think a lot of people, and myself included, because that's one of the things I remember asking you. Uh, do you think that as people that it's a myth that after a certain age it becomes harder to gain muscle or lose fat? Do you think that that's a myth that most people believe, or do you think that that's a convenient excuse that we would like to believe?
Yeah, I believe that the latter. I think it's the excuse because I hear it so much that people have kind of given up because I'm over 60, I'm over 70. I'm just not going to be able to put any muscle on. And so that's a cop out in a sense. And they might, and I'm sure they well believe it. So they kind of bought into it, that that's the case. But I can tell you, Dave, we talk about a lot on here. Dave is 75. He's done phenomenal as far as his strength and the muscle size that he has, just muscle density, thicknesses that guy's got at 75 years old. And as strong, if really stronger than he was when he was, Jay's been with me 25 years. So, 60 years old is when he started. No, I mean, 50 years old.
And your plan with Dave is progressive resistance. Is that what it's always
Still, I'm
been?
always trying to get Dave. I'm always trying to get Dave to go up, even higher than he thinks he's capable. We did the other day. We did the 85. He went up to 85s on dumbbell incline and got 10 reps, 11 reps pretty easily after he did 17 with the 75s. So he gets a little nervous when he gets up around the hundreds, but he's totally capable of doing it. But I'm always pushing him because like when he goes to the gym on his own, he says he does the 55s and 65s on his own day, but he's doing 15, 18, 20, whatever he can do. He doesn't stop. It's another form of progressive resistance where he's just doing as many reps as he can do. So he's still going to fatigue, just going about it a different way, which is probably another reason why he has stayed, I think, as healthy and injury-free as he has. I got a guy right now doing that program because he's had some shoulder issues. And I think I talked about that routine. Basically, it's each body part, you take 5 exercises and you do 20 reps. So, for chest, he's doing incline dumbbell press, incline fly, flat dumbbell press, cable crossovers, and maybe Smith machine. And you set a weight up where you can do 20 reps from one station to the next. Then you rest 3 minutes and you bump everything up 5 pounds. And your goal is to get 20 again. When you're starting out, chances of that are, you'll get to first exercise, you'll get you 20. Second exercise, you probably get you 20. As you get to third and fourth one, you might get 18, 7, whatever that number is. But you're always shooting for that 20. You do 3 rounds of that with 3-minute rest in between. First of all, it's like my guy called me the other night. Billy was talking about it. He's starting to now figure his weights out and get better. But the pain, and I did a little of this yesterday on biceps, where I just did as many as I could do instead of stopping at a number. I think I got like 18 on my first set of standing curls. And then that was my goal, trying to get 18. I got 18. I think my second 18, my third one I got 15, my fourth one I got 15. Keep bumping the weights up. But man, the burn is at a whole nother level. But what it does for you, and the reason I did it back in the day, because the guy who turned me on to it was talking about it's a good break for your tendons and your joints and ligaments. So even though the workout is beyond brutal, you're not taxing yourself as much. And like he said, now he forgot his shoulder even bothers him anymore. He has no pain at all. It's gone.
Now,
Over that.
how does that work if you're going up in weight?
Because again, he was a guy that Billy, when he was with me, or when he trains with me, he goes to the 120s like I do. Doesn't get as many reps, but he goes to it. He can do 120s on presses. I think when he did the weights the other day, I want to say he did, it's a guess now, 45, 50, 55. So you have to cut your weights back. When you're doing 20 reps, you got to cut, you're going to back your weights down. You're still pushing till exhaustion. Again, he talked about how, the next day, you're so sore, like on biceps, on shoulders, that you actually think you're injured. Honestly, that's how sore you are. It's not for everybody. You'd almost have to do that with somebody, either someone pushing you or someone training with you. And then just from an ego standpoint, you're trying to keep up.
And that's 3 rounds of that. Is that right?
3 rounds of that.
Okay.
And it's quick, but you get down around that last round and you're trying to do, like I said, like you talked about on concentration curls. I think his last 5th exercise was concentration curl. He was down to like 10, 11. It's just hard. He'll eventually get there because muscular endurance, you keep working on that, building that. But because you're dropping your weights down, where I'll do my front barbell press, I probably go to 185. When I did them on that routine, I was starting off with 65. It's just from one exercise to the next, nonstop, 5 rounds, 5 exercises. It's nothing, snap out. But I will say, and I did it for a while, and that's where Billy is now. He said, I'm going to do this. He wants to keep it up. Just because, number one, it's stimulating growth. He said, man, is it possible that I'm actually growing, putting on muscle? I'm like, of course. The change is good, but also the fact that he's stimulating muscle at a whole nother level. He said he's actually seeing change in the physique, which is what I saw. I probably did that program for 6 months, no joke. And I've been back to it over the years, probably twice that I've gone back and started doing it again. I would consider it again, but I'm telling you, you got to have the right mindset. Well, here's what I told him. The problem I would have, it's now almost impossible in the gym to set you up 5 stations and have any shot when you come back that station's still there.
You got to put your camera up.
Yeah, well, you need 5 cameras in.
Yeah, that's.
But you could. I have a hard time doing it seriously now, just supersetting body part to body part. But to do 5, you'd have to pick the right time to go in there when it's a little bit light to be able to pull that off. It would be almost
that's tough.
I've seen him struggle with it the times I've been in there where he went back and someone who was using, and I gave him something alternative to do in the meantime. So that would be the biggest headache to it. If I could probably pull that off, I'm probably at a point now where it'd be a good thing for me to do, just again from a tendon ligament, just kind of resting. I call it resting, but you are at least putting that much poundage up, like I do, exercise after exercise.
So that would be 5 exercises per muscle group that you're working on that day. Did I understand that right? Uh-oh. I think we lost Barry. Did I lose you?
Well, that was me. I guess someone's trying to sabotage. I've never had that experience where someone called in and I just went and hit the, cancel button and it dropped off.
Oh, that's all right. Let's see here. I still got the recording going. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on the screen.
Little technical difficulty there.
Technical difficulty, but as you were saying, yes, sir.
So I'm not sure where I was actually, what I was talking about, but just
we were talking about the five exercises per muscle
he's
group.
He's doing chest back, which is tough to do. He can do it, but he's doing two body parts, when I was doing it, I was doing one, like chest one day, back one day, shoulders one day, arms one day, legs one day.
Okay.
So it can be done, but when you've done that round of chest, you're pretty much ready to get out of there if you can.
Yeah, that sounds
Especially
pretty.
shoulders. Shoulders are almost shoulders and biceps are the two that have a pain level that you can't even kind of explain. But you just pick your 5 exercises in each body part, and just like I said, go 20 repetitions. That's your goal. But between each set, you want to bump everything up 5 pounds. So you kind of you're better off coming up easy. You know what I mean? Then you have somewhere to go to, as to do opposite. When you know what I mean, that you can't get to 20 even during your first round. So pick your weights if you're going to do it that are light enough to where your goal is to do it. And then you can go to your next workout. And that's what Billy's doing now, is starting to really figure out what his weight should be.
I got you. Is that something that you think is that a plan? I guess you already answered that. You mentioned that you did that sporadically. It sounds like a plateau breaker or something like that.
Yeah, a little bit of that. But again, I think if you got anything, what I would say, and I can't remember now what was bothering me, something I had going on that was nagging me. So I wanted to continue it. And I got this guy, John Perillo, what I call he's like the guru out of Ohio, the magazine I subscribe to, had this routine in there. And he talked about where he gives it to his guys when they need a little break, call it a break. And I did it. I thought, let me try it. And it was
Some break.
yeah, it's some break. But it's, again, not for the lighthearted, but I tell you what, it's a pump like you'll never experience. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. Not quite the same, but like I said, yeah, on my chest day this week, I did as many as I could. You know what I mean? Like I did the 85s for 8 or 20. I did the 95. I did the 80s for 20, 95s for 20, the 105s for 15. And I stayed there, I believe. I don't think I went to the 115s. I don't remember.
You know, my
But
brother's been talking about taking it up a notch, and I think something like that he'd be interested in. The fact that it sounds like you're backing down what you typically, your weight, your weight for that exercise and that muscle group, you're backing it down maybe about 30 to 40%, and then you're going to 20 reps
right,
5 times in 3 different rounds, but you're bumping it up 5 pounds
pounds each time.
each time. Okay.
Yeah, so in that 3 minutes, you're resting. You're basically putting your weights back and putting out your, you know what I mean. You're not. So I go by the clock. I have my little stopwatch, and I would set it as soon as I'm done with that last thing. And I have 3 minutes. You got to get back
Yeah,
on
that's an
the horse.
active resting. That's not a
Yeah,
passive
yeah. You're not
resting.
really exactly. You got when you got 3 things, and so you can do it like I said, where you have. What I like about that one bench for chest, I'm doing incline dumbbell press, incline fly, flat dumbbell press. I'm able to get 3 stations in right there before I go anywhere else. And then whatever's available, pec deck, Smith machine, or pec deck, chest press machine, some way that you can find your 5 exercises. So
Okay.
on another note, I'm not sure what we're doing on time, but Reggie threw out to me, Reg out of Northport reached out to me yesterday. He was talking about how he changed his program up. I wanted to change it up, or he has changed it up, where like day 1 was arms and or bicep, tricep. Day 2 was chest and abs. Day 3 was back and shoulders. Day 4, legs. And he asked me what I thought of that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I was a little surprised that I know I've talked about this in the past, and this is always just one of those little pet peeve of mine that I talk about with someone who comes in the gym and I see them start doing dumbbell curls right off the goo. Well, I'm not sure really where you go from there if you do triceps first, because your triceps, when you do chest, you're doing triceps. When you do shoulders, you're doing triceps. So if you're doing triceps first, I'm not sure what your next major muscle group, especially when you talk about building a base and getting stronger. So I was telling him, I said, you can There's nothing wrong with it, but I wouldn't. He's doing triceps on Monday and then chest on Tuesday. So the way my triceps from yesterday feel, which are really, really sore, I couldn't imagine going in today and doing chest.
Now
I
they got to
could have.
support your chest. Yeah.
I could have. And
Right.
I'm not saying it would have been a bad workout, but I can promise you I wouldn't have been doing the 120s
I
because
see.
my triceps are just tired. So better to do chest on Monday. And then when you do triceps the next day or the third day, doesn't take as much to do because you've already done triceps on chest day
Hmm.
or biceps on back day. So you've already pre-fatigued them in a sense. It already doesn't take as much to do them. That's why arms, you don't really want to overtrain them. Like Red just got some big arms. He's always talked about, but he's always talked about how his chest is leg behind. And part of that, I would say, would be that he emphasizes maybe arms, obviously, over he does the other major body parts. Is what I thought about after the fact, because that is his biggest body. I mean, he's got some arms on him.
Is it just easier to isolate the smaller muscle groups? Is that what it comes down to? I mean, a bigger muscle group you would think is supported by the smaller ones also in a compound movement.
No, my guess would be, and I'm not saying this is for Reg's case, but most people's cases, it's kind of like your show part. You know what I mean? Everybody wants big arms. So they're going to focus on arms. That's why you see people go in the gym sometimes. Like I see them on Saturday morning. They basically come in and do just an arm workout, seriously. And then they go about their way, just get pumped. Some of them are in work clothes. So then when you leave out of there, your arms are kind of pumped up. You got the rest of the day, you go around, your arms, that's what first thing everybody sees. That's just what I believe. I'm not saying that's everyone's motive, but it's a body part that you like to show. And from the first time I met him, Reg, years and years ago, he's definitely he's always had big arms. But I don't know that he'd been any different or worse had he just done major groups first and then arms after the fact. Because I don't really worry about strength per se. It's an isolation movement. You know what I mean? I don't really worry about arms, seeing how much I can lift. Still progressive resistance on it, but it's not a power movement. It's more of an isolation movement. Your power movements are going to be your chest stuff, your back stuff, even some shoulder stuff when you're doing shoulder press or barbell press, whatever the case may be. So he wanted me to talk a little bit about that and the why part, of why you do it in the order that you do it.
That makes
And
sense because I've fallen into that same trap before of, like you mentioned, arms is one of the things that us guys want to grow. Um, I mean, that's one common body part that we all have in common as far as wanting to make a result. And so to see that there's a little bit of a science to how you structure that workout is helpful.
yeah, if you want what I've always prided myself on, at least in my bodybuilding, I was never the biggest ever on stage. But as far as symmetry and balance, I was top all the time that I competed. No body part overshadowed another body part. And I was always mentally aware of that when I trained. That you want everything to be in proportion in order to do that. And if a lot of people you'll see are just arm heavy or upper body heavy, no leg, whatever the case may be. But they don't emphasize, or their excuse usually is, well, my legs don't grow or my chest just doesn't grow. But you just got to, make it a priority, not doing anything crazy different. But it's like me, and hamstrings are a great example. I used to do hamstrings last. And someone told me one time, and again, makes sense, and it's worked for me now, is, time I get done with legs, when I'm done squatting, leg pressing, everything, and I got to finish with hamstrings, my heart's not quite the same minute to it as it would be now. I do them first. I emphasize my hamstrings to bring them up. So I do those first before, and then warms up my legs before I do anything else to get them out of the way. Everything else is just, I don't say easy, but it's easier movement when you're trying to press heavy leg press or press squats. But I found his take was he found that by doing them last, he was ready to get out of there, and come up short most of the time because you didn't put the same emphasis on it. And that's probably the same with a lot of different body parts. Like people ask me, what's your least favorite to work? What's your favorite body part to work? And there was a time that was true. I used to hate legs, just because the pure pain of them. And then I got to where now, for years now, I don't have one. No, none overshadow the other one. I just like training everything.
Well, that's a excellent segue to our last. It looks like we got about 7 minutes on the clock,
Oh
but
man,
I
let's
wanted
do
to
it.
take, yeah, no, we're doing good. I wanted to take this opportunity to hit you with a little bit of a lightning round. This is still a
Oh man,
podcast for beginners, people that are stepping into the gym for the first time. So we do have ears that are listening to the podcast that are new to the gym experience. So I kind of wanted to throw I put you in the hot seat a little bit and throw some
yeah, I know it.
true or false at you. We
Oh,
just want
that's
true or
easy.
false.
That's
Okay.
easy.
All right. You need to work out every day to see results. Barry, true or false?
That is very false.
False. Barry says
False.
false. Barry, lifting weights slows down your metabolism. Barry, true or false?
Ooh, what kind of question? False.
False. Obviously, you weren't looking at any of our other podcasts, but podcast or question number three, true or false? Cardio is the best way to lose fat. Barry, true or false?
I'm going big time false.
That's a big time false. We may have to elaborate on that one
Well, just
in a
because again,
future.
muscle is metabolism. So the only way you're going to physically change your body, period, is weight training. Matter of fact, the lady last night, she has a treadmill at her house. So she does treadmill all the time, gets up, does her treadmill. Now her eating isn't that great, but all these years that she's been doing treadmill, by not weight training, now she's atrophied a lot of her muscle. So stuff isn't sitting where it used to be. You got to keep from atrophying muscle. It's going to happen from age 30 on. Everybody from age 30
Age
on.
30 for
30,
so the you're telling me that is young, buddy.
1 to 2% body fat you lose from age 30 on. But when you get to 50, it goes 3 to 5%.
Come on, man.
That's true.
3 to 5% at 50?
Yeah. And it talked about that for, I was studying a little bit on that, if I pronounce it right, sarcopenia, which
Yeah.
is that muscle loss is a disease actually that people get. They say 30% of elderly people get sarcopenia. And it talked about for them, I think even I looked it up, they lose 10% of muscle every decade. So about
Wow.
percent every, so you take again 10%, you go from 60 to 70 and you weigh 180, you lost 18 pounds of muscle. That's a lot of muscle. And then that's where you're bone brittle, falling down,
Yeah.
breaking stuff easier, can't get up out of your seat. Just pure strength of functioning everyday life.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because we're in winter now. We're in some the cold months, and I see the fall videos online all the time where you're coming out of the house and the steps are slippery, and they're just not anticipating it. And next thing you know, there's a stumble and a fall, and like you mentioned, that brittle bone, or
Man,
some if you can't recover from a stumble because you've lost a little bit of muscle atrophy. You plant that leg just to give yourself a little bit of balance and it doesn't support you. That's a scary
or
feeling.
even the support you're trying to get as you go down. I mean, to be able to break the fall in a sense. That's where they're breaking wrist. I mean, they just, and that
That's right.
happens just because of bone mass loss, which is weight training again is what helps you. Like most of the ladies, a lot of ladies I've trained who had a problem with that, losing bone mass, when they went to the doctor after working out, those numbers totally flipped the other way. The doctor's like, man, it's working out. That's the best thing you can do to keep from, that happening. So, again, if you're not weight training, so many things that can go awry. Not just
Speaking of weight training, beginners should avoid heavy weights. Barry, true or false?
avoid.
Yep,
Well,
that's the question.
I'm going to say no, but I will say you want to start gradual. You know what I mean? You want to squat body weight. You want to do 3 pound, five, whatever. I mean, what we talked about, 10, 12 reps, 15 reps, find out what you're capable of, but don't hold yourself back There is no, don't get that false thing where I don't want to get bulky. She said to me last night, well, I don't want to get bulky. They all say it. I
Yeah.
don't want to get too bulky.
My niece just told me that.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the standard line because they don't know. Um, but that's the least of your problems. Trust me. That just doesn't happen. Again, it's just recruiting muscle fiber. That's the only way that you're going to actually get more toned, more fit, leaner, not bigger, leaner. Your muscles are going to show. Everything's like a cocoon effect, as you talked about how to lose weight. People who have that thickness to them or have no tone, they want to show some muscle tone in their arms or have nice shoulders. The weight training is going to develop that underneath the body fat as you diet and do things, as I call cocoon effect, where you start burning the body fat off. That's where your muscles show better.
That's right.
One doesn't replace the other. You can't put on, fat, as far as make my fat look big, you know what I mean? Bigger. One loses, the other tones. And as you lose it, that's how your body
You get that
leans
shrink wrap
out.
effect. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the with that being said, it looks like the producer is flashing the light at me over here.
Man, that's a quick 7 minute little lightning round. You got nothing else for me. Give me
N-
one more question.
oh, you know what? Hold on. We got one more here. We got one more, don't we? Don't we? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Here we go. True or false? More workouts always mean better results. Always.
Man, you're on the false road today, buddy. All those
What?
are false. More workouts? You mean more? Just keep on keeping on?
Yeah.
No, that ain't gonna work. I mean, you work it till
Just
we're
do
exhausted.
more. You
You're
just do
done.
it, but you do more of it.
But everybody, again, you're asking great questions. So I see that a lot. I get that a lot when people see results. I always say the same thing: can we do another day, or can't we do
Yeah.
more? Give me another chest exercise? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You just get it done, get a good pump, and get out. I mean, yesterday, bicep and tricep for me, I think I did 8 sets of try, 8 sets of bi. And if you're doing them right, the way I was doing them, I don't want to do another. There's no. I mean, I could do 4 more sets, but at what point? I think there's a point where you start losing that muscle tone,
Yeah.
where you're overtraining. So now you can't recover and repair from that. So there's a fine line.
Well, Barry, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. And that's our time, everyone. If you want to reach out to Barry, look online, check him out on Facebook. You can send a message there. And until next time, bye, everybody. Thanks, Barry.
Appreciate it.